Hi friends, today I'm making a video about Australia and New Zealand. So many people are asking about which country is better to come as a student and also to live here. So today we have our friend, his name is Gukulak. He lived significant time in both the countries. So I'm going to ask a lot of things and try to gather as much information as we can. So which country is better? What is your opinion and what are the positive things and negative things you have seen in both the countries?
I would say that if you talk firstly about the economy of these countries, Australia is a much better place in terms of its economy being quite strong. All the jobs are here in Australia, and it's able to provide for all varieties of jobs for the workforce. So economically, Australia is much strong, always avoids any recession. So New Zealand is being a smaller economy, so has been significantly affected with all these pandemics. And currently, it's been in 2 quarters of recession last year and this year.
Yeah.
And currently, we are finding that young New Zealanders are choosing to leave New Zealand and coming to Australia to
Yeah, I
find
have seen many people coming here. Yeah.
yeah, to find better job opportunities. So when it comes to jobs market, so New Zealand is way backward in terms of that, and Australia is well ahead. So in terms of also the incomes which you'd be expected for the same type of job. So you are looking, for instance, of a professional who would be looking at say 90,000 New Zealand dollars. The same salary would be comparable to say $120,000, so about 20 to 25% more in Australia.
So jobs wise is more jobs in Australia. At the same time, income is more in Australia than New Zealand. So what about expenses?
When you talk about the cost of living, like in Australia, the renting can be expensive in certain cities, and food can be also expensive, especially in regional Australia. And cost of living in Australia is high. However, we cannot say any better for New Zealand also. It being a bit isolated, rent is also high, and it's a smaller market, so cost of living, so in certain ways, certain things could be less expensive, like certain types of foods. But generally, I think that you are more likely to find Australia like better for your pocket, for your money,
Mhm.
and
So it's more like New Zealand is expensive than Australia.
true,
So, okay.
true.
All right.
So Australia is a place to be if we want. Okay, if you want better jobs, job prospects, better income, and
And better savings
better
probably.
savings. Yeah,
Yeah.
certainly.
So what about the culture and the people? Because so many complaints about Australians' attitude and other things. How do you compare New Zealanders with Australia?
Yeah, on this side, I would say that New Zealand has the edge, and also in terms of family life, it is one of the better places to raise children, where the pace of life is slower. People are much at ease in a community. Have they are less driven in terms of material gains, and they have more time for volunteering. They are more have more time for yeah for community, for family, and children tend to develop and grow better in those environments where they are well surrounded. They have time, where parents have adequate time for their kids, and kids have so many activities like camps, outdoor activities, which are just fantastic for kids to grow, which probably are not so frequent or not so great in Australian terms. Someone thinks about a family life, a stable family, and yeah, time. I think that New Zealand is well ahead.
New Zealand is more welcoming and friendly people than compared to the Australians. That's what I understand
It
from.
it is 100%. People have time for you. People are more inclined to help, more inclined to have yeah to give their free time to make sure that you are well settled, and will help in every stage. People have yeah, a different attitude and approach to immigrants. Unlike unfortunately, I would say that Australians in some places can be great, can be very welcoming, but not everywhere.
So, what do you think about this medical health insurance, or where Australia have a Medicare and which look after your health and other things if you have to go to a doctor? But what is the scenario in New Zealand? Is it
It
correct?
is very similar, where you also have a similar process of going to the GP, similar process of having like Medicare, and yeah, so it is very similar in terms of the infrastructure wise. However, because of the shortage of doctors in New Zealand, and this is where you tend to have longer times to have visits to like specialists. I think that this is a bit slow in New Zealand, and this is where again Australia could be one step ahead. Yeah.
Right. And what about the safety and isolations come to that?
Yeah, I mean, safety wise, New Zealand is always one of the safest places, one of the better places for health. Uh, very, very lovely and yeah, pleasant for person and yeah, for people to take care of themselves and enjoy all the activities. It's a great life balance place. But unlike, yeah, obviously it's also having, well, it does have also its health minor, like you will have frequent earthquakes there, so which is an issue being in the Pacific Rim. They're not big issues. From distance, they look like they are really major, but once you're used to New Zealand life, they're just part of who you are. Similarly, the weather can be very in New Zealand can be very cold, very rainy, windy, which doesn't appeal to say people who come from warmer continents who want to immigrate. So weather-wise, it's not very appealing. And Australia appears to have a better weather,
Okay.
more stable weather.
Coming to the last one, isolation. Australia is isolated. So, how do you think about New Zealand? Because if you have to fly from Australia to any other country, it's so expensive nowadays. So, will it be the same or will it be worse than this Australia?
Uh, being a little bit further down, New Zealand is more isolated, unfortunately. And for instance, someone coming down from Europe to New Zealand is going to be much longer and more expensive, was a bit from any Asian country. Australia also is expensive, and it all depends which city where you're living in. If you're living in remote regional Australia, it can be as expensive as New Zealand to fly out.
Is there any country you're going to suggest them?
Uh, well, again, I would say that it all depends on the person. If you're family oriented, you want a good start for your kids. You want your kids to be stable emotionally and to have time for them to enjoy all the activities, probably where you can't have them in every other place of the world. I think that New Zealand is the place to be. The greenery, the mentality of people, the culture, people really friendly. I would say for family life, New Zealand is one of the best places to be. However, when it comes to the other end, I think that in terms of economy, in terms of jobs, in terms of job prospects, your income, the salaries, materialistic needs, Australia is well ahead. And yeah, so I think that it all depends. There's no perfect place to be, but both are very stable countries, very strong countries. Everyone in the world always looks at going to either Australia or New Zealand as one of the first choices.
Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
sharing all this information with us. And thank you, everyone.